Well, from the moment the hurricane hit, I knew I was going to write about it. I write books set in Florida, so I've written about hurricanes before, but never one like this, never one that I lived through so directly. I've lived in Florida my entire life, apart from a few years in college, and so I've gone through countless hurricanes. I've never experienced anything like this. And the truth is, no one has. There's never been a hurricane this powerful, this devastating, to hit the Panhandle. And it's one of the most powerful storms to ever hit the continental United States. You know, the thing about hurricanes is you see them coming. Usually they're not a surprise, they're slow moving. You see when they start to develop as tropical storms, and if it comes into the Gulf and it intensifies, then you can track it, and you have warning, and you can watch it as it slowly moves toward you. In this case, we really had none of that. The hurricane hit on Wednesday. I remember the first that I even heard about the possibility of a hurricane heading our way was either Saturday or Sunday. I guess it was Saturday. And at that point, we were being told that, it might be a Category 1 or 2, and it would probably hit Destin. The Saturday after the hurricane, I had planned my first annual John Jordan Day. We had readers of the series coming from all over the country to experience John Jordan's world. And I remember on Sunday and Monday trying to decide whether we would still have the event. At that point, we still didn't know exactly where the storm was going to hit. But even if it came, because we thought even if it came close to us, or even if it hit us directly, it wasn't going to be all that powerful. And there was every chance that, by Saturday it would be beautiful. Usually we have very beautiful weather after hurricanes. My main concern at that point was that people from other parts of the country coming in for the event would think, oh, there's a hurricane, so we're not going to come. And I thought, well, maybe I should just reschedule it because of that. Even as late as Monday or Tuesday of that week, it was still being predicted to be a Category 2 at the strongest, and probably going to hit west of us. We just didn't know. We really had no warning. I've never seen a storm come up this quickly, intensify this rapidly, and of course we've never had one to hit us so directly. This storm intensified by 45 miles per hour in the last 24 hours before landfall. We weren't prepared because we really didn't have an opportunity to be. We weren't given a chance to be prepared like we normally are. The thing about storms like this is that they only last a couple of hours at the most, and then they're gone. But the aftermath lasts for years. It will take us years to recover from this. And the truth is, there's a lot of aspects that we'll never recover from. The storm can feel like an apocalypse. It really can. But the truth is, it's the post-apocalyptic world that we now find ourselves in that's so difficult to navigate. People keep saying, I'm home, but home doesn't feel like home anymore. There was so much damage and devastation. So many trees and buildings gone, just no longer existing or completely transformed, that we didn't know where we were. We lost our landmarks. And so I would be in an area that I've been to, literally thousands and thousands of times, and I wouldn't recognize it. The storm took lives, and actually it continues to. The storm's aftermath has changed all of our lives. A storm like this is an interruption and a disruption. Every aspect of our lives has been interrupted and disrupted. I knew immediately I was going to write about this storm, but I had to. I was working on a John Jordan novel when the storm hit. And so in the same way that Hurricane Michael interrupted and disrupted our lives, I wanted it to interrupt and disrupt John's life and his investigation. Parts of the Panhandle have been decimated. It's hard to fathom the devastation, but there's not a single aspect of life here that hasn't been changed, that hasn't been touched by the storm. It's just surreal. I mean, there's really no other way to describe it. This part of Florida has, for a very long time now, been called the Forgotten Coast, because so often people pass through it instead of coming to it. They pass through it on their way to Disney or to Miami or Tampa or Key West. And a lot of us feel like it's forgotten again because of how little news coverage there is on the storm, especially now. I mean, there was some at the beginning, but it quickly faded, and there hasn't been a lot of follow-up. And because of that, because of the lack of coverage, lack of information, lack of awareness, because this area is not as heavily populated as some other areas that have been hit before, donations to national charity organizations who help in times of crisis like these are down. They're able to do less because they've been given less. So the Forgotten Coast is forgotten again. Over the years, as a chaplain, I've worked with a lot of families who've lost a loved one. I've performed a lot of funerals and done a lot of crisis counseling. And one of the things that typically happens with the loss of a loved one is you have this immediate outpouring from family and friends. You have people bringing food, you have people calling, sending cards, coming by to express their sympathy and condolences. And then after a few days or a week or so, it stops. And that's when the grieving person really needs the most help. That's when they need the most support, because that immediate response is gone. And in the storm, we had the most amazing outpouring initially. We were surviving on the kindness of strangers. I can't tell you how many individuals, couples, organizations just showed up with a grill and started cooking and passing out free food. How many brought in trailerfuls of water and other supplies. It was amazing. And it was, in a storm like this, what you always see, I think, is the best and worst of humanity. The storm itself is so extreme, and so often so is the response. And we, as neighbors, helped each other, and we saw just truly heroic generosity and kindness to each other, and then from strangers, from those who rushed in to help us. But the truth is, there's still such a need for help, for assistance, and most of it is gone now. Most of those who stepped forward and volunteered and helped, and out of the amazing goodness of their hearts, and some of them have been through disasters before and were paying it forward in a way, and others just are just good people, just have a heart to help, and they showed up and did that. But they've been gone for months now. Our road, we've made only a few steps in our road to recovery in terms of the entire area. There's so much left to do. There's so much more that's still needed, and we have less resources and less help. And the sea became blood is my response to living through this disaster. In a way, it's my meditation. Like me, John Jordan is a resident of North Florida, of the Panhandle, of Weewahitchka, and I couldn't let a storm like this hit and affect everything and it not affect John Jordan in the series. So John's working a case just like normal, and all of a sudden an apocalypse happens, and he's trying to survive, and he's trying to protect his family and help his family survive and his community, and at the same time trying to solve this crime. And it looks as if the hurricane, with all the damage and devastation it brings, might actually, help the killer to get away with it. It's hard to convey to people outside of the area what it's like to live through a hurricane like this, what the aftermath is like, and what, even now, months later, how things really still are. But I'm hoping to do that with this book, that I could show people what it's like to live through the storm, but more importantly, show them what it's like following the storm. And because of that, I plan for the next few books in the series to deal directly with the storm and its aftermath. And The Sea Became Blood deals with, it starts on the Monday before the storm, and it goes to the Thursday after the storm. or the Friday after the storm. And the next book will pick up right there, and so really show a real-time account of what it was like to live through this surreal and all too real disaster experience.